come to the right place for that, because it's time for Bo Bounds to show you the...
All right, good morning. Welcome in. We've got fried onion rings and fried shrimp in studio right now, which is delicious. Compliments of Kendall Collins. Thank you. Some of the best onion rings and fried shrimp I've had. Mixed in with a little comeback sauce for the onion rings, a little cocktail sauce for the shrimp, or you can cross over, whatever. Blake Mania is in a better mood because his stomach is full. And so he's doing better, especially after bumming 18 beers from Kendall Collins at his tailgate up in Starkville.
Slightly misleading. It wasn't me. It was my group.
Well, that's still...
Well, I understand, but let's not tell everybody I drank all 18 beers is all I'm saying.
It makes a better story. Wally Cummins text in that Kendall eventually had to bum a beer off him because Blake and his crew...
See, it pays to know people. Kendall needed to know Wally. I needed to know Kendall.
Blake eventually rolled through all of Kendall's beer.
That's what I get for bringing two Cajuns to the tailgate.
Man. Well, that and no self-awareness.
Well, what can you do?
I mean, hey, I'm here. Isn't everybody supposed to give me something?
I mean, to be fair, it is the price.
Are you Gen X?
I have no idea. 91. I was born in 91, whatever that means.
Will you look it up, please?
See, the thing is it's one of those things where, like, when you have a celebrity show up, you got to kind of, take care of them. That's what I mean. When I show up, I got to get taken care of. It is what it is.
Are you listening to this nonsense, Kendall? Good grief. The Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Show Me the Money is powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. We welcome in our friend Dave Bartoo from somewhere in Oregon. Bartoo, how are you, buddy?
Dude, I am exhausted. Absolutely smoking exhausted right now.
What, you've been fighting raccoons last night? What's happening?
No, dude, it's silly season, and this is going to be the silliest of silly seasons. So the ADs and football ops guys calling me is off the hook, and massive storm front moved in 2 days, 48 hours ago, and we got rain in the forecast every hour for about 2 weeks. And that means you have to get all of your cannabis out of the fields.
Are you serious?
No, I'm totally serious. Because water, getting off the subject of sports, but since we're talking about cannabis, it's kind of the same thing, right? Food, weed, tailgate, football. But the flowering of the plants, which is where all the good stuff is, whether it's CBD or anything else, the flowers get really thick, really heavy as they grow. And if water gets inside of them and the weather gets warm with the humidity, it'll rot these things like overnight. So everybody's trying to let these things grow as long as they can, basically ripen as long as you can. And sometimes you get the weather, sometimes you don't. 2 years ago, I don't think we saw a drop of rain till middle of November. Not one drop. I mean, it was great growing weather for everybody out there. To this week, we're going to get 4 or 5 inches of rain. And so, you're up. I'm pretty hands-on with the stuff. So everything stinks. Everything's sticky. My computer keyboard's sticky. My phone's sticking to my hand. The whole house smells. The truck smells. Everything smells. I smell. I haven't slept in, it feels like 3 days.
Dang, you're in the bunker, man. I mean, I can tell you're grinding.
It's hands-on, and it's fun. I enjoy it. I love being outside. I love the dirt side of it, but I also love my football side of it. I love talking to an AD or a football ops guy about your next head coach, your next wide receiver coach, your next special team coach. Why don't you have a special team coach?
Can you imagine in 2021 not having a special teams coach?
No.
Well, Joe Moorhead didn't.
No.
Sorry.
I can't. Yeah, you had to get that one in there, right? Right. No, I
may be a little better. I'm not going to,
That's fine. That's fine. We can all live in the past. It's cool. You're old. I understand. Damn kids. damn kids back in my day. But it's a field position job, right? I mean, it's field position. So I think it's extremely undervalued. Actually, I think the biggest thing that's undervalued in college football is blocked kicks, blocked field goals, and blocked punts. They don't count as turnovers, and damn it, they should, because they change games. And there's only a handful of guys out there that really do it well. But the guys that do it well can win football games for you. And when you got 12 of them, one guy that can turn a game or two is – and not having one can turn it the other direction easily. There's every weekend there's a handful of games that get lost on crappy special teams, and you go look it up, you're like, oh, yeah, the running back coach kind of does special teams on the sides.
Right.
You know something? If you don't care about it, 18 to 22-year-olds ain't going to care about it.
That's true. That's true. And they know. They know. That's a great point. Yeah, I think Dan Mullen won 3 games at Mississippi State on blocked field goals or PATs. And then it bit him 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago against Kentucky when they blocked a field goal and ran it back for a touchdown.
But like something like that, I mean, like special teams touchdowns and stuff like, blocking that and running back. I mean, gosh, you want to talk about an anomaly? I think that's the first time it happened to him in his career in God knows how many plays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Something, those are the breaks, right? That's why we play the game.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, speaking of game, let's go LSU Ole Miss. Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show. This is a monster game here in the state of Mississippi this weekend. It's on CBS, 2:30, 12:30 your time. You don't run numbers like this, but we're told LSU's only dressing out 55 guys, but they beat Mullen and our scholarship guys. They beat Mullen and the Gators last week, and Ole Miss has had a couple of good wins, Arkansas and Tennessee. What do you see in this game, LSU at Ole Miss, Bartoo?
Well, by the number, it depends on what numbers we're looking at, right? I mean, if we're looking at just the game, non-gambling numbers, and you look at these two teams here, it's incredibly offensive slanted in the football game. Obviously, Ole Miss has a very, very good offense, but LSU has been carried by their offense as well year to date. Right now, where are we at? We're at 30th in the country in scoring efficiency for LSU on offense, 83rd on defense. And Ole Miss, you have 15th on offense and 78th on defense. These two teams aren't that far apart. They're really not. I mean, other than win-loss record and firing your head coach and everybody being pissed and dressing out 55 versus 85, they're not that far apart on paper.
Tell me the numbers again. Drop those numbers again where they're ranked.
Okay, so on offense, LSU's 30, Ole Miss is 15. And this is scoring efficiency. This isn't points per game or anything like that. This is scoring efficiency. This levels out their ability to score the football. And on defense, Ole Miss is 78th, which is a huge improvement over last year, and LSU is 83rd. So you have two crappy defenses. You have two C-, D+ defense, not very good defenses, and you have a B grade and an A grade offense. Which, going back to the numbers, these things match up. I think this is the best bet in the SEC this week. Okay, the total opened at 75.5. It moved up to 76.5 to 76. I'm guessing right now the numbers, if you're looking at them, it's either 76 or 76.5 on your board. Okay, so you have an open at 75.5. Now, in the month of October, in the first week of November, an open at 75.5 goes over, regardless of which way it goes. Okay, it goes over 77% of the time. So the trends say bet the over, and here we have a game with two offenses that are vastly better than both defenses. It all matches up for me, in the spreadsheet. So if there's one game that I like in the SEC, or one total to bet this week in the SEC, my favorite and the only one I would recommend is LSU Ole Miss over 76 points.
LSU Ole Miss over. All right.
Yep. And whatever number you get, it doesn't have to be 75.5 or 76 or 76.5. If you go through the whole trend of the open at 75, that is, in this window we're looking at, not the whole season, just this little 3, 4, 5, this 4-week window, it has hit over 77% of the time.
Okay.
So to me, that is a good value in the number. And then when we go back to the scoring efficiency numbers, where it's highly weighted for both offenses, that just makes it that much better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait till tomorrow. LSU at Ole Miss.
If the numbers play out, it should be a barn burner. I mean, it really should. And if you look at the spread, it opened at -12, and it dropped down to -9, -9.5. Now, on that move in October, the road team is 10-4 to cover that move. Okay, up to 9.5. So you might be talking. So if we're going to go over 76 points, so we need somebody at 40. We need somebody at 35. Nope, that's 37. So we might be looking at 45 LSU covers. Let's say they're within a touchdown. 40. Oh, how about 45-38? God, wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
That would be tasty. So, in fact, that's what we'll go with, right? just for fun. But I think offensively it should be the most entertaining football game in the SEC this weekend.
Dave Bartoo, Show Me the Money, powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. Dave joins us on the Bell's Two-Hearted Ale guest line. All right, Bartoo, with Ole Miss ranked 78th in defensive scoring efficiency, does that mean Durkin's done a good job this year?
No. But relative to his career, he hasn't done a good job. And I think, and at 78th, I don't think he's done it. The offense is carrying this whole thing. Matt Corral's carrying the whole thing.
No doubt.
Right? So the issue with DJ is that his career on the field as a good defensive coordinator when he doesn't have to face a huge volume of plays. Okay, if he's in the mid-50s, the low 60s, because he doesn't have a good substitution pattern. He's not a hockey-style defensive coordinator coach, and so these fast pace of plays really get him down. He's not very flexible, and so the way Lane wants to run the offense, it doesn't fit well with what Durkin does on defense. So if the offense when you lose Corral, if you don't replace it with somebody that can keep the scoring efficiency going at this pace. If next year, if Lane's there and he is still running the same pace but without the efficiency of a Matt Corral, the defense is still going to struggle, and then the whole team's going to struggle.
Yeah.
So to me, I didn't think it was a good fit from day one. We said that on the show, that he would struggle with Lane's offense. I think Ole Miss can be better with a better defensive coordinator that handles Lane's pace. Not necessarily a better defensive coordinator, because his grade is good for his career. He just isn't good at handling 70, 75, 80 plays a game.
All right, Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds Show. Let's go to Mississippi State at Vandy.
Now if there was now I don't believe in slump busters, but this has got to be one, right?
It better be for Mike in Mississippi State. Or you just think the message boards or this show will melt down on Monday morning? Good grief!
Oh, well, yeah, and understandably so. I'll give it that. I'll give it that one. How this game though? I think this game is going to. I think the first quarter, Vanderbilt's not good at a lot of things, but Vanderbilt is extra special in the first quarter. And Mississippi State has played its most balanced football of the season in the first quarter. So we're going to go over on the total points in the first quarter, and we'll go Mississippi State. We're going to go 13-3 in the first quarter. Okay. The second quarter is going to be a snooze fest. Not going to score very much, kind of hoping for something magical, maybe a turnover to get a cheap one. But these two defenses both play their best football this year in the second quarter, and the offenses are weak. So I think going into halftime, most of the scoring in this game is going to be done in the first quarter, maybe the first little bit of the second quarter if somebody does, finishes the first quarter in the red zone. Third quarter, this is where the defenses don't come out well. The defenses are better in the first half. They're weaker in the second half. Third quarter is a bit of a snoozer as well. Fourth quarter, this is I think where Mississippi State extends the lead. I lean under on this game. I don't think there's going to be a ton of points because neither offense has been really great year to date. But I think the first and fourth quarter is going to be the huge difference in the football game. That's where Mississippi State is going to extend the lead, cover the spread in those two quarters.
Oh, do you think they'll cover the 20 and a half, 21? Or maybe where would you go?
Let's see here. Actually, what are the and then let's go inside the numbers here. That one is more of just a gut feel off of the numbers.
Okay. Gotcha.
The open on there's really no data on this. Opening at minus 23, dropping down to minus 20 and a half. There's no historical data on an open at minus 23. It's an odd number. It's a rare number. So I don't have anything that's backing up in terms of a trend. What I'm talking about with that one. It just, when I'm looking at the scoring efficiencies, when Mississippi State is strong in the first and fourth quarter, that's historically this year when Vanderbilt has been bottom 5 in defense in college football, okay, is also the first and fourth quarter. So from a matchup perspective, how these teams have gone quarter by quarter, to me it favors Mississippi State based on their behaviors this year.
All right. There's really not much left in the SEC other than that game. I mean, you got Tennessee and Bama.
Here's an interesting one. So you got Bama, Tennessee, right? Now I know the line is minus 27 and a half, and it drops down. It's dropped down to 25. The road team. So the 17 times that minus 27 has opened in October. And it's only moved back twice. Okay, so when it's only gone from 27 to 26 to 25 to 24. Most of the time, 15 out of 17 times, it moves up. It's gone back, and that's only 2 times. The road team covered both of them. Tennessee, watch this game for the first quarter. The team with the best combined offensive and defensive scoring efficiency in the first quarter this year is Tennessee. Tennessee is number 1 in total team scoring efficiency, offense minus defense in the first quarter. So just out of curiosity, and especially based on this line, if I was going to bet anything in this game, I would bet Tennessee to cover the first quarter. Whatever it is, bet Tennessee to cover the first quarter. And like I said, on this movement, there's a slight lean towards Tennessee covering that football game against Alabama, who, by the way, isn't going to go to the playoffs this year.
Roll Tide. All right, so Bartoo, let's hit on that. You feel like even if Bama runs it and gets to the SEC championship in Atlanta, that they drop that game to Georgia?
I do believe they dropped the game to Georgia. Now, I'll stick by the idea that the SEC champ is in, okay? But I don't think Alabama is going to get there. Right now, their offense is 9th in the country, which is their worst spot at this point of the season in the last 8 years. Their defense is 33rd, absolutely the worst spot at this point of the season in the last 10 years. So by those numbers, I think Georgia's a better team. I think Georgia beat them in the SEC title game. That will give Alabama 2 losses, and they're done. They're out. They're going to be lucky to have 2 top 25 wins at that point. Okay, so really what this comes down to is I'm just betting right now by saying that Georgia's going to beat them in the SEC title game. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think the odds are there. I think if the odds are made right now, Georgia would be favored in that football game. So I don't think I'm on the wrong side of that. And I do think I'm on the right side that a 2-loss Alabama team, along with an undefeated Cincinnati, isn't getting into the playoffs. Neither one. I'll fade both of them right now, not making the playoffs. I know it's super, super early, and that's a long ways out there for projections, but I think both of them, I think you're probably talking about the number 5, number 6 ranked team in the country.
Wow. How about that? What if Bama doesn't make the playoff? Crazy.
And I'm kind of also in support of just keeping it at 4 and not expanding it, because it is going to marginalize a lot of these football games. I mean, does anybody want to take away, it was awesome beating, for A&M beating Bama and Mississippi State beating A&M. You have an 18 playoff. Those are probably pretty useless games now. They're fun, but you didn't knock anybody out. You didn't crush anybody's soul. You didn't remove anybody from the playoffs. And also with the watering down of the G5s, with Cincinnati leaving, UCF, there's no reason to keep playing this game. G5, go make your own playoff. Power 5 got their 14 playoff. We got 8 teams in a playoff, 2 separate playoffs. Let's have some fun, but let's stop kidding ourselves that anybody out of G5 really should be playing in the Power 5 playoffs.
They shouldn't. They need their own playoff deal.
The numbers just don't match up in my mind. I can't justify it, right? I mean, look at the SEC, okay? 70% of the SEC conference games go to the better recruiter, right? Year in and year out, you take the last 10 years, you push out the numbers, you remove all the names, and the winner of the game, no matter where it's played, 70% of the time is the better recruiter, okay? Now, that is a big sample size. If you took somebody like Cincinnati or UCF or Memphis or Houston or any of those teams and you put them in the SEC, they are the worst recruiter in the SEC to start the season, okay? So you have a 10-year history of the better recruiter winning 70% of the games, yet somehow on God's green earth, the worst recruiter, this would be like Vanderbilt running the table in the SEC. That's Cincinnati or UCF's equivalent of running the table in the SEC is Vanderbilt doing it.
We're so archaic and antiquated and, collegiate athletics, I guess, but in football, it's just amazing that we could have Cincinnati in the playoff. I mean, come on.
Well, we're not going to. We're not going to. Look at their numbers, okay? They're going to be lucky to have 2 top 25 wins at the end of the season.
Okay.
They're going to have to beat SMU, who may or may not finish in the top 25, and they've already beaten Notre Dame, who's terrible. Okay, Notre Dame doesn't have good numbers. I mean, the biggest bust brand game of the weekend is USC and Notre Dame.
I saw that.
Neither one of these teams are top 50 in anything. Horrible football game. Great brands, fun to bet on, and you should bet Notre Dame to win and cover at -6.5. But outside of that, it ain't no good. So, all right, I think I've soapboxed long enough.
I love it. Thank you, bud. All right, Dave Bartoo, the Patreon account is on fire. You can find everything he's doing on Twitter at CFB Matrix. Joining us live from his farm somewhere in Oregon and battling rain here over the next couple of weeks. Bartoo, have a great weekend, my friend. Thanks so much.
Take it easy, brother. Thanks for having me on again.
See you, buddy. By the way, he dropped that Notre Dame. He gave you another pick. He dropped that Notre Dame right there at the end. That's Southern Cal at Notre Dame. And he's going with the Fighting Irish. And he does not think that Bama will win the college football playoff. Hey, thanks for listening to the Out of Bounds Show on ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks to Kendall Collins. Please go to Apple Podcasts. Search the Out of Bounds Show. Would love for you to subscribe, too.